Earlier this year, the International Aerospace Quality Group, IAQG, released Revision C to AS9100, the Aerospace Quality Management System standard. The revision marks the first major change to the standard since its initial release in 1999. AS9100 is based entirely on ISO 9001-2008, and it additionally tacks onto the aerospace industry requirements. These requirements were placed to ensure safety, reliability, and the quality of aerospace products. Based on the stakeholder input and the IAQG charter, the rewrite team has some key objectives. Incorporate ISO 9001-2008's requirement. Expand the scope from an aerospace standard to an aviation, space, and defense standard. Incorporate new requirements based on stakeholder input. Ensure alignment with IAQG strategies. Clarify existing requirements. AS9100 is based on ISO 9001-2008 and is maintained and administered by the International Aerospace Group, which started its revision in 2005. AS9100C includes definitions for three important new terms: risk, special requirements, and critical items. Other critical changes to the standard involve quality manual relationships, risk management, customer satisfaction, project management, recognition of supplier quality data, and approval status of suppliers. The IAQG has already established a 30-month transition period for AS9100C. The International Aerospace Quality Group, IAQG, has proposed a 30-month transition timeline for existing certified organizations that went into effect on January 1, 2010. The Online Aerospace Supplier Information System, OASIS, database will be used to share IAQG expectations and track clientele transition activity via certification body issuance of AS9100C certification. All AS9100 audits after July 1, 2011 must be to Rev C. After the 1st of July 2011, all audits conducted, whether they be surveillance, recertification, or new registration, must be conducted to AS9100 Rev C or AS9120 Rev A as applicable. Any certification in OASIS that are to Rev B of AS9100 after June 31, 2012 will automatically be withdrawn. For those clients, a complete new recertification audit must be completed. All aerospace certifications will expire, regardless of certification expiry date, if clients have not transitioned to AS9100C or AS9120A by July 1, 2012. The days for all 9100 and 9120 2009 transition audits shall be as follows. For multiple site organizations, the transition during the existing audit cycle will vary. If you are a multiple site organization, please call ISA office for additional requirements. Organizations seeking certification to the 9100 or 9120-2009 AQMS standards must formally declare to ISA conformance to 9100 or 9120 prior to ISA conducting the transition audits. The following section will provide a brief overview on some of the key changes in Revision C of AS9100. This change deleted the previous requirement to create a document showing the relationship between AS9100's requirement and the organization's documented procedures. The stakeholder input was that this requirement had no effect on product quality and was viewed as prescriptive. A new requirement requires on-time delivery, that product quality be measured, and that appropriate actions taken when customer objectives are not met. The evaluation of customer satisfaction shall include monitoring of product conformity, delivery performance, complaints, and corrective action requests. This requirement will establish a clear relationship between the QMS and organizational performance. A new requirement for planning and managing product realization in a structured and controlled way. Most aerospace products are complex and involve multi-tier partner and suppliers. Organizations will have a process to manage product realization to ensure quality and that schedules are not compromised. The new requirement under Clause 7.1 requires an organization to implement a risk management process. This clause will require organizations to identify and classify risk, determine levels of acceptable risk, and have effective risk mitigation plans for unacceptable risk. This requirement puts a focus on product risk during product realization. This is vital as new technologies in aircraft, space vehicles, defense systems, and materials are introduced. Organizations will need to ensure that a risk management process is in place, that risks are appropriately applied in the process, and that they are successfully managed. The existing configuration management clause was simply moved to Section 7. This puts the focus on product instead of documentation. Some level of configuration management is expected for all products at all levels of the supply chain. This change is in the form of a guidance note that encourages the use of data from external sources in the supplier selection and evaluation process. The industry trend is to use externally provided supplier performance data. This will require organizations to define the various supplier status levels they use, along with the scope of approval for each. They will also have to define the process for supplier approval status decisions and changes. The requirement stems from an increased emphasis on supply chain management throughout the aerospace industry. Conditions for using a supplier must depend on the approval status, and an organization must be able to demonstrate the logic used in making those decisions. Process, responsibilities, and authorities must be defined. The previous revision requires organizations to periodically validate test reports for raw material. This was often a misunderstood concept, frequently misapplied, viewed as prescriptive, and subject to varying interpretations. The rationale going forward will be if an organization is making critical items in which the material, chemical, and physical requirements are important, it should be verifying test reports as part of its risk management process. This change moves the first article inspection required from Clause 8.2.4. It will require organizations to verify that their production processes, documentation, and tooling are capable of producing parts and assemblies that meet requirements. AS9100 will still be referenced as guidance and is often flowed down from major aerospace companies. The change no longer requires organizations to use detailed tools and techniques such as check sheets, flowcharts, etc. to support the internal audit process. The industry considered this to be too prescriptive and decided it was best to leave the identification of the tools up to the supplier. AS9100C requires that when the organization uses sampling inspection for the product acceptance, the sampling plan shall be justified on the basis of recognized statistical principles and appropriate for use. The rationale was that numerous requests were received to improve the sampling clause, and that the way it was previously written confined organizations under other plans that could still be proven statistically valid. The revision to AS9100 brings significant changes, not only to the standard, but also to how audits will be conducted. It will be an audit tool, and auditors will be measuring organizational effectiveness.